No, I couldn't see the light. Climax Blues Band. Couldn't get it right was played just as I was getting ready to start the video. Man, now I got to run through my head. Hey, how the heck are you? Yeah. This is in the interest of overkill, the redundancy department of redundancy. I'm having another version of a Manhattan. Let's say it is a Manhattan in spirit, anyway. What I've got here is I've got about 3 ounces of the Rolling Standard Midwestern 4-grain whiskey. It is 92 proof, man. It ain't playing. And I had some neat and on the rocks the other day. It really is nice. But I hadn't tried it in this capacity. Now, the Tomstown double oaked and then the Pendergast Royal Gold are really different animals in this one. So I was curious how this one would react in a Manhattan. So what I've got is about 3 ounces of the whiskey. I've got about a ½ ounce of sweet vermouth. I've got 2 Luxardo cherries with just a little bit of that cherry syrup and a few dashes of some Reagan's orange bitters, which is how I like to make a Manhattan. I don't have the fancy little deal that they put the cherries on. We're at home, man. It's not about appearance, it's about quality. Here I got a nice looking Manhattan using my old Jack Daniels glass, one of my dad's old glasses. So anyway, I'm going to take a drink. Aroma is spectacular, though. Oh yeah, that's nice. It is different though. I was used to. So traditionally, if you really want to get technical, a Manhattan is made with rye. However, I personally prefer bourbon, but I typically prefer a bourbon that uses rye as a secondary grain. Now what this thing does here, Rolling Standard Midwestern 4-grain whiskey, is our expansion into something new, a complex combination of barley, wheat, corn, and rye. So there is some rye in here, but we're also using barley and wheat. And so, as opposed to a wheated bourbon or a bourbon using rye, here we have a whiskey that is using both. And we're adding some barley into the mix. So it does give you a very complex, almost to steal a beer term, will have to become a beer term. It gives it kind of a dank feel. When I had the Manhattan at Tomstown Distillery using the Pendergast Royal Gold, what I noticed about it was, that bit of spiciness up front from the whiskey and how it dried up. It was a very oaky, dry finish, and when I had the whiskey neat, I understood. Now even though the flavors aren't similar, the reaction is similar. You get whatever sweetness you're going to get initially from this whiskey. Although what I will say though is the oak is more subtle here in this 4-grain. But it does certainly has the feel of a Manhattan, which is why I said a Manhattan inspired drink, because I'm using, a whiskey not typically associated with a Manhattan. But I like to experiment. I want to see it, and quite frankly, do what you want to do, people. Don't let people tell you a certain cocktail has to be made a certain way. Don't let them tell you that. The cocktail police are not going to show up at your door. Make them any way you want to, people. That's what while we currently have a free country, do whatever you want to do. I'm waiting for the cocktail place to tell me you cannot make a Manhattan with those ingredients. Yeah, I can, by golly. That's a damn fine one, too. So there you go. Yeah, it is crazy. You see the fire in the background. It's not a real fire, folks. Just my television set. But sometimes I like to use, different backgrounds. And kind of like the fire. We are going into fall, so I thought, well, why not? Let's put the fake fire back. Sometimes if my wife thinks I'm nuts, sometimes I'll turn my music on, just turn that fireplace on, and I'll sit in my chair, and I'll glance up at the fire now and again. It just gives me comfort, man. Got the music playing, I got the fire going. I told her just put a space heater by it, and you'll feel like a real fireplace. Anyway, I digress. I did pick up some good cherries while I was in Kansas City because I did want to make and I did want to make as close to a true Manhattan as possible when I got home, but using the whiskey of my choosing. So I bought a fairly good quality vermouth. I paid a little more than I typically do, but I've learned that I'm spending more for the whiskey. If you cheap out on any ingredients, you're kind of ruining the quality of your drink. So you really got to make it right. So I got a better quality vermouth than usual. The bitters, again, the bitter. I like the Regan's orange bitters. Now there are more expensive bitters out there. There are cheaper bitters out there. Again, use the ones you like. If you want to use more of a traditional bitter, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. I just like what these particular bitters do to a cocktail. And I use them. I use them in other cocktails. But again, the cocktail police aren't going to show up at your door. Make the cocktail any way you want to, people. So there you go. I am Tom, the Manhattan Whisperer, baby. I do love a classic drink, dude. I am kind of a man out of time. I love classic drinks. I'm not a fan of nouveau cocktails at all, not even a little bit. I think the problem is it feels like bartenders, like a lot of younger craft brewers, I feel like they're trying too hard. You don't have to put 100 ingredients in a cocktail. You don't have to put 100 ingredients in a beer. It doesn't have to be peanut butter, asparagus, banana, watermelon beer. Nor do you need all those damn liqueurs in a cocktail to make a good cocktail. I mean, a classic cocktail. Here we've got the whiskey, we got the cherries, we got the vermouth, and we got the bitters. I mean, really, that's really all a good cocktail needs is 4, maybe 5 ingredients, and you've got a classic cocktail. You don't need to put 30 things in there. If you've got to add all these crazy, fancy liqueurs, I don't know that you're really, I mean, the best chefs out there will tell you that their favorite dishes are the simpler dishes. A good home cooked meal doesn't have to have 100 ingredients. Sometimes it's simplicity. Sometimes less really is more. And here's the proof with a classic cocktail. I mean, here's a cocktail that has stood the test of time, and is still one of the preferred cocktails. If you go to any classic lounge, you're going to find a Manhattan. You're going to find an old fashioned. That's another one. For me, the old fashioned's a little sweet. I don't. But I do understand the popularity of the drink. I just don't buy into hype. I've always been a Manhattan drinker, and I'm not going to let any hype change my mind. So there you go. I am Tom, the Manhattan Whisperer at this particular moment. Cocktail evangelist, prolific cocktail drinker. Again, I am a bit of a purist, to be honest with you. If you ask me to make a cocktail, I can make the classics, right? But if you're asking for something crazy, something within the last 10 years, I'm not going to know it, man. So I would never refer to myself as a mixologist. But if I am making cocktails at home, I do know what I'm doing. I can make you a good drink. But what you're going to get from me is a classic, simple drink. You're not going to get 30 liqueurs. You're not going to get pomegranate hazelnut liqueur. You're going to get a classic. You're going to get a Manhattan. You're going to get something close to an old-fashioned. I can make a damn mean Bloody Mary. That really, and to be honest with you, I don't want to learn these crazy ass nouveau cocktails. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm a guy that likes alcohol, so I'm not going to make a drink that tastes like fruit punch. I think drinks like that are for people that just want to get drunk. They just want the effects. They don't want to taste it. That's why I love a classic cocktail like a Manhattan. You really can taste a whiskey. That's why you must use a quality whiskey when making a cocktail like this, or it's over, baby, it's over. I am Tom the Cocktail Whisperer, Cocktail Evangelist, brother the cocktail drinker, purveyor wisdom man. All right, good guy. Cheers, y'all.